Hello there, hello viewers. Welcome along to my musical journey, and I thank you for all the views and the comments and all the shorts over the last week. I really enjoy hearing about your musical journeys and the comments. Today we're doing a little bit different. I'm introducing my friend Pat Kennedy. He has an absolutely fantastic channel called Close to the Edge, where he talks about all things prog rock, heavy rock, and sometimes he will talk about sticker rock. So you never know. So Pat, how are you? Introduce yourself to my viewers, please.
Yes, hello, Stephen, and thanks for having me on your channel.
No
Yes,
problem.
yeah, I have a channel called Close to the Edge, and it's mostly about, as you gave the perfect introduction to it, Stephen, and I have it since last July, doing very well. Could do better, as you know,
Yeah,
we all could do better,
better
but I
exactly.
really appreciate you bringing me on your channel, Stephen.
Thank
You're
you.
excellent,
Thank
and
you.
anyway, and it's a very interesting topic you came up with, Stephen.
Okay. Okay. Start off with your top 10. What's your number 10?
So, Stephen asked me to do my top 10 favorite bands and then pick an album each by him. That's my favorite album by him.
Yeah.
So my number 10, Stephen, is a band you know very well.
Okay. Surprise me.
Tangerine Dream is
Oh, excellent. Excellent band.
my favorite album by Tangerine Dream is this 1976 album, Stratosphere.
Oh, mine as well. So
Yeah,
that's a snap.
I love this album. This was the second
Yeah.
album I bought, Stephen.
Steven, yeah.
The first album I bought was an album called Hyperborea.
Ah,
And
yes, I
this was
know
the
it.
second one. And I bought it on LP back in the day. The LP is long gone now, Stephen. Long gone.
Yeah,
But this is the remastered CD, and this is a
version,
brilliant
yeah.
album.
Are there
If
any extra
anyone,
tracks? Are there any extra tracks on the
no extra
remaster?
tracks on that, none
Okay.
whatsoever. And if anyone,
Okay.
any of your viewers have never heard of Tangerine Dream, I would highly recommend, Steve,
Yep.
that
Oh,
they
I
give it.
highly recommend Stratosphere. That is also my favorite Tangerine Dream album, and that's a band I also have to reconnect with on
Oh, you
this
have to
channel
reconnect
as
with
well.
it. That's my number
And
10 album.
I did include it in my prog rock starter kit video a
I
few
saw that
days ago.
recently,
Yeah.
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 Whether they're prog rock is another matter, Stephen. I would
Yeah, I
always
know. Or
uh,
prog adjacent, as they could say.
ambient,
Yeah,
basically,
yeah,
electronic, obviously.
yeah.
Right, my ninth favorite band is a
Okay.
Canadian band
I
that
think
I've
I
seen
know who you mean.
that I've seen three times, and my favorite album by them is always a bit of a contentious issue with certain people because a lot of people think the band I'm talking about is Rush. A lot of people maintain that their best album is either Moving Pictures, Hemispheres, Farewell to the Kings, Permanent Waves, maybe even 2112. But my favorite album by Rush is Signals. It always has
Okay.
been.
Yeah. I only
It's
have one album by them.
It's the follow-up album to Moving Pictures, released in 1982.
Okay.
I love this album because it's the last album that was produced by Terry Brown, the producer.
Okay.
I've been with him from day one, from the very first album. And to me, it's their last masterpiece.
Okay.
I don't think they've made an album as good as this. Now, they've made some brilliant albums, like quite
After.
right
But yeah.
after this. They have made some brilliant albums, but none as good as this, in my
Okay.
opinion.
Okay.
And I just think the track on it, Subdivisions, is one of the greatest tracks they've ever written.
Yeah.
The lyrics, the lyrics by Neil Peart, Stephen, is
Okay.
just brilliant. But that's my number 9.
Okay. Very good choice. What's next?
My number 8 favorite band. Now, all these bands are all amazing bands, so I'm
Yeah.
just
You're
because they're
spoiled for choice.
just because they're
Yeah.
lower, people say it's lower down. That can change from time to time.
Yeah. Yeah.
My number is Genesis, and my
Oh,
favorite album
excellent. Oh. Oh,
is this
wow. The trick of the tail. Yeah. Wow.
A Trick in the Tail. This is the Analog Productions one.
Yeah.
It's on
Okay.
45 RPM.
Okay.
And this
Um,
album
yeah.
is absolutely incredible. It's the first album without
Okay.
Peter Gabriel.
Yes, I'm aware of that, and
Yeah,
as I said to you earlier, I'm just getting back into Genesis, and I do have the normal standard edition of a trick for the trick with the tail, and it's brilliant. But I'd be looking to get it on the 2008 remastered version. That's the one
Yeah,
I'd
that's
need.
the next one.
Yeah.
But this Analog Productions is pressing the
Okay.
original master tapes. Is
Yeah.
incredible. The sound and the album
Okay.
is incredible. Dance on a Volcano kicks it off, Stephen. What a track!
Okay.
What a phenomenal album, you know. You have loads of brilliant tracks on this. But anyway, that's my number 8.
Okay. That was definitely a surprise. I wasn't expecting that one.
In my top 10, no.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I would have thought you would have gone for Foxtrot, or maybe even Lamb Lies Down in
Well,
Broadway. But
The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, when I did my own video way back, was number
yeah,
1.
well,
It
yeah.
changed, chopped,
With
you
the
know,
change, yeah, yeah, yeah,
people who watch this know they chop and
yeah.
changed. At the
Change,
moment,
exactly,
that's my
exactly.
favorite, but that
Yeah,
can change.
exactly. That's the whole
Right,
point.
my number 7
Yeah.
is the brilliant English progressive rock band, very underrated band, Gentle Giant.
Okay.
Favorite album by them is The Power and the Glory, released in 1974.
Okay.
These
I'm
are,
not.
I don't know, not
I'm not
familiar with these.
familiar with them. So
Even I want you to go on your journey,
yeah.
on the Gentle Giant journey, and they are an incredible progressive rock band. They took progressive rock, in my opinion, to another level.
Okay.
A lot of baroque influences there, classical influences there,
Yeah.
you know. But this album is incredible. As I said, 1974, short enough album, about 36, 37 minutes. I'm not 100% sure.
Okay. Well, that's a nice length of an album. So
But if anyone hasn't heard these, go and
okay.
check them.
Okay. Go and check
Yeah,
them out.
they are an acquired taste. I must
Yeah.
say that.
Okay. But
Right, so that's my
you're on a
number.
you're on a musical journey. So
Yeah, exactly. That's my number 7. My number
yeah.
6, as I said, these are all just incredible bands.
Okay.
To me, the greatest progressive rock album of all time from
Okay.
one of the greatest bands, King
Ah,
Crimson.
yes, yes, yes. I know. I
Unfortunately,
know
Crimson
that
King.
album.
They're my
Yeah.
number 6. But
Yeah.
this album was released in 1969.
Okay.
And
That's the
before
year
that,
I was born.
there were no such thing as prog in 1969. Well, no one called it prog, they just called it rock.
Yeah.
And there were a few other bands around. You had The Nice, Procol Harum was another band. There was a few other bands around. I think Van de Graaff Generator are around as well.
Were the Moody
And
Blues around?
Van de Graaff Generator, another progressive
Okay.
rock band from
Okay.
Manchester in England.
What
But
about the
this one,
Moody
to
Blues?
me, this is the first
Okay.
real progressive rock album. And to me, it's without this album, I don't think you would have had all the great progressive rock albums in the 70s.
That was the blueprint.
That was the blueprint for it, with the amazing
Okay.
Robert Fripp on guitar. You had Michael Giles on this. You had, of course, the brilliant Greg Lake,
Yeah.
bass player and vocalist on this. And, of course, the brilliant lyricist Peter Sinfield, who only passed away, unfortunately, last October. But
Sad news. Sad news.
that is,
Yeah.
and the cover, I can't remember who
It's
done the cover,
amazing.
but the cover was a painting. It was a young guy who painted it, and I can't think of his name, unfortunately. But he died. Actually, I think the album was only after being released, and I think he died of a heart attack. Yeah, but what a brilliant, incredible album.
Right.
Incredible.
Yeah. I listened to it a few times. So yeah.
Incredible band.
Yeah.
King Crimson. They're one of the very few bands, Stephen. One of the very few that never made a bad album. Studio album.
Okay. Okay.
They never did.
Led Zeppelin would be another.
No, they didn't make a bad album either, but
Yeah.
I much prefer King Crimson to Led Zeppelin.
Okay. Okay.
You know what I mean? I'm a progressive rock, as you can see with my bands.
Band. Yeah.
Right, number 5.
Yeah.
Another genius of a band. This band, Stephen, I'm not sure you're familiar with this band or not. I think you are.
Okay.
Before I say them, these were formed in late 1969. First album came out in 1970. And when I mention one of their names, of course, everyone knows who they are. Keith Emerson.
Yeah.
Greg,
yeah.
and Carl Palmer. Emerson, Lake, and Palmer.
Yeah.
They hit the ground running because they went to I think it was the Isle of Wight Festival and they blew everyone away. They had a big cannon and everything. But my favorite album by them is the album Brain Salad Surgery
Yeah.
from 1973. What an incredible,
Yeah, I have listened to it a few times, so
it's absolutely
yeah.
incredible. And
They're,
one
they're,
of the
they're
best progressive rock
they're-
bands of all time.
yeah.
And I think they had 4 studio albums now in a row. Their first album, Tarkus Trilogy, and this one. I think they're probably the greatest 4 albums in a row from any progressive rock band in the
And yeah.
history of progressive rock. I think they are.
Okay.
Just
Okay.
incredible band. Unfortunately, went downhill. They took a break, went downhill, and ended up reformed back in the 90s. And they brought out that horrible album in the hot seat.
Love Beach.
Which was late 1978. But anyway, Emerson,
I have to get the King Crimson album, and I have to get that album for the collection.
oh, you have to get him,
Yeah,
Stephen.
yeah. I'll
Right,
probably
my
get
number
him on
four,
CD. What's your number
number
4?
four
Yeah.
favorite band is the brilliant Yes.
Oh yeah. Yes. Yes.
What an incredible band they were
Yeah.
in the 70s. And a lot of people reckon, and this is my favorite album by him, hence the name of my channel,
Yeah. Oh,
Ghost of the
excellent! An absolutely fantastic album.
classic album. A lot of people
Yeah.
reckon this is the greatest prog album of all time.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Wow.
to do. And I'm not going to argue with him, to be honest with you.
No.
I wouldn't argue with that because
No.
this is
No.
just incredible. It's
Yeah.
the last album with Bill Bruford on,
Okay.
and had only 3 tracks. That's it.
Yeah.
3 tracks, and the first track, side 1, the title track,
Yeah.
is
Close to
just
the edge.
Stephen.
It's excellent.
Amazing.
It's excellent.
Amazing.
Although my favorite Yes album is Tales from Topographic Oceans, but that'll
And
be a second. So yeah.
that's the album they brought out after this, with the first
Yeah.
album with Alan White
Yeah.
on it. That's a brilliant album too, and it's
Yeah.
Scott Lade over there in the prog corner, his favorite album.
Yeah.
But I think this is a better album.
Yeah.
I think everything came together
With
on
that
this
one.
album,
Yeah.
and they got a masterpiece, and it has stood the test of time.
Yeah.
That's my number 4 anyway. My fourth
Okay.
favorite
What's
band.
your number 3?
So my third favorite band,
Yeah.
another English band. I think most of them are all English anyway.
Yeah.
And these are just incredible. These are progressive rock, but not only progressive rock. They're folk rock, they're blues rock. But
Yeah.
Jethro Tull.
Well, yeah. We saw them live in Dublin.
We did see him live in Dublin,
Yeah.
Stephen. We did indeed. We saw him on the .com tour.
Yeah.
And my favorite album by them at this moment in time, this can change. They have so many good albums.
Exactly. I listen.
It's a brick, and this is the book. This is the book,
Oh,
Stephen.
wonderful. I love that format. Yeah.
That format is brilliant. But
Yeah.
this album, released in 1972, it's their first foray really into progressive rock, and
Yeah.
it was kind of a taking the piss, really, Stephen.
It is. Yeah. It's very Monty Python kind of.
Yeah, Monty Python-ish. Yeah, Jared.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Jared
Yeah.
Boss.
I listened to Stormwatch today. So.
So much is amazing. They
Yeah.
have so many good
Brilliant.
albums.
Yeah.
My favorite album by them can change like the weather here in Ireland, which is quite regular.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
this
Similar
great
weather here in Somerset. So.
one track,
Yeah.
parts.
One album.
That's it.
Yeah.
I love the way it opens up. The way his lyrics, he's very clever with his lyrics. He says, "Really don't mind if you sit this one out."
Yeah.
You don't want to listen to it, you don't have to listen to it, but it's
Exactly.
it's just incredible.
That's another one I have to get for the collection on
yeah,
CD.
and
So yeah.
see that, Stephen.
Yeah.
Box, brilliant, because it gives you all the so much stuff in it, Stephen.
Yeah.
Box sets, book sets, as people call them. But brilliant, Stephen. Brilliant.
Yeah. What prices are those?
What's that, Stephen?
What prices are those book sets?
They get more expensive as they get rarer.
Okay.
And there's 3 I don't have.
Okay.
I can't get for love nor money.
Oh, yeah.
The first album this was.
Yeah.
I don't on the books that I have the albums.
Yeah.
And I don't have Too Old to Rock and Roll, and I don't have Stormwatch on the book. They're looking for stupid money
I
on
know, I know,
for.
I know, I
I'm
know.
not paying it. I'm not paying it.
Exactly. I don't blame you. I
It
don't
might be
blame you.
reissued with a bit of luck.
Yep.
Right, you want my
Keep
number two?
trying. Number
Number
two,
two.
getting close to number one.
Yeah, my number two is from America. Right.
Okay.
This is an artist, not a band as such.
Okay.
And I think, personally, he's the greatest artist of all time in rock music.
Yeah.
There's no one as good as him. Nobody.
I know who you're going to
And they
mention.
don't
So
even come close to him.
yeah.
And my favorite, of course, my favorite album by him, he has so many brilliant albums.
Yeah.
It's Frank Zappa.
Yeah.
And my favorite album by Frank Zappa at this moment in time is Apostrophe, released in
Possibly.
70.
Yeah.
And Frank
Absolutely excellent.
Zappa was so unique. He was unique in the way he used write the music, the way he used play the music. The lyrics were unique. He was
Yeah.
unique. He was very outspoken. He was
Yeah.
funny. He was just an absolute. Now, I know the way people throw around the word genius, Stephen, right?
Yeah.
This guy's a genius. That was a genius. No,
He
this
was a
is
genius.
music.
He was out on his own, doing his own thing.
No one has ever sounded like him before him, and
Or
no one has
since.
ever sounded like him after him. He
Exactly.
was that unique. And what? Oh, I love his music. I love his later stuff too. His satirical stuff,
Yeah.
where he really does take the piss. You know,
Oh, totally.
totally takes the piss. Like you have all these songs like Dynamo Home and all these
Yeah.
brilliant. Like, you have, like the way this track opens up. Watch out where the Huskies go. Don't
Oh,
you eat
yeah.
that yellow snow.
Yeah. Stinkfoot is on it.
Stingfoot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Omadrosis. Yeah. Stingfoot. Omadrosis. Absolutely. Incredible. So that's my number two. And you think he
Two,
would
yeah.
be my number one, but
Yeah.
these are favorites. I'm not saying they're the best. Okay.
Best, yeah.
You know, that's for whatever. No one can state
Yeah.
one way or the other who's the best
Okay.
at this and that and the other, you know.
Yeah.
And the reason my number one band are my favorite band and always will be my favorite going back and forth
I
is
think I
because
know what you're going to say. Yeah.
they were the first real band I got into back in 1978 when I was getting into music. How old I was? About 14.
Yeah.
Yeah, just on 14. And I would have been listening to other stuff, you know, bits of this and bits of that, but not proper. But when we heard this band, these were my gateway into all the other bands.
And yeah.
You know, I don't know a lot of people in my top 10, where's certain band, where's Led Zeppelin? Well, I think Led Zeppelin are an amazing band, but they're not in my top 10.
And yeah, exactly.
They're not in my top 10.
No.
Deep
In
Purple.
your top 20.
They're definitely in my top 20, Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
Deep Purple.
Deep Purple. Excellent. Yeah. Fireball. I was just trying to make it out on a small screen. So yeah.
1970, which was their in rock album, up to Come Taste the Band in 1976. Now they came back and brought out a couple of good albums and here, there, and everywhere. But this is the suite of albums from 1970 to 1975 are incredible.
Yeah.
With different lineup changes, right? Two different guitarists, different singers, different bass player. But the constants through all the albums in the 70s was Ian Pace and John Lord.
Yeah.
There were only two constants. And this album, Fireball, it's their most progressive album. No wonder it's my favorite. I think this is a progressive rock album.
Okay, in disguise.
We're experimenting on it.
Yeah.
It was totally different than in rock and totally different to what was to follow. Machine Head.
Machine Head, yeah. I love Machine Head.
I just think that album, Fireball, the way it opens up with the title track, Fireball, and it ends with No One Came. It's just, they are, for me, the quintessential hard rock band. I always think
I totally agree.
I always think they were better. They were, to me, they were better than Led Zeppelin.
Okay, yeah.
Because they had, the thing they had, what Led Zeppelin didn't have, they had keyboards.
And
that broadened their horizon, in my opinion, of course. Now, a lot of people will disagree.
Yeah.
Probably get it in the comments now saying, what does he know about music?
What's he on about?
I love Led Zeppelin too. Like, they're just outside my top 10.
Yeah.
But Purple will always be my favorite. And There's not going to be another band come along to knock them off the top.
No.
Even bands probably. I'm talking about bands maybe I haven't heard, maybe from the 70s or the 60s and 70s. Like there's a one band I hadn't heard in a long time. It was a band called Uriah Heep.
Okay, I'm aware of a whole load of bands like Uriah Heep, Nazareth, UFO, but I've never listened to any of them.
Now, UFO are an excellent band, but they're not in Deep
Yeah.
Purple League. And Uriah Heep have a few albums by him. Not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
They're not. They're a poor man's Deep Purple, I think.
Oh, okay.
They have the keyboards as well, the Hammond organ, but they're not in their league. They're in. As to use a football term.
Okay.
All these bands are in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Right. Or if you're watching this from America, the Super Bowl, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever to talk about over there. But they are Premier League bands.
Yeah.
And then I didn't name like honorable mentions.
Okay.
Would be Wishbone Ash.
Yeah.
They're another amazing band. I love them too.
Yeah.
Zeppelin, of course, brilliant.
Yeah.
You know,
Tin
Pink Floyd.
Lizzy didn't get mentioned either, so.
No, they won't be in my top 20 though.
Okay. Wow.
The Horselips would be in my top 20.
Yeah. Okay.
They would be. No, but Lizzy wouldn't be in my top 20. Neither would AC/DC or UFO or any bands like that. No, they wouldn't. Camel would be a band. Eli, prog bands. A lot of prog bands I would have in there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There is bands, and I said Pink Floyd, and I not say Pink Floyd. They'd be in my top 20.
Yeah.
But you could do a top 50 or you could do a top 60. And you could really do it. And and that can change, as you very well know.
Exactly.
That can actually change from time to time. Anyway, Stephen, I hope you enjoyed that. Did you enjoy that?
I certainly did. That was quite a bit of an eye opener there. So, and as you mentioned, there were quite a few ones that didn't cut the mustard, as they say. So,
well, they could have got in, but
yeah,
I took out Tangerine Dream maybe for another band, and
put in Floyd.
I could have put in Wishbone Ash or Led Zeppelin.
You could have. These
are at this moment in time, that's the way it is. But the number one will never change. Number one or number two will never change. They're the two ones. They're always my constant.
Yeah.
1 and 2. Deep Purple and Frank Zappa.
Okay.
They're my two.
They would be your favorite solo artist and favorite band.
Yeah, I don't know he wasn't. Yeah, solo artist. I know he wasn't a solo artist when he started off with the Mothers. It was a band.
Yeah.
But it was Frank Zappa and the Mothers. You get me?
Mothers, yeah.
That was the Mothers was him. So it really is solo, you know.
Yeah. So
okay. Thanks for having me on, Stephen.
No problem, and thank you for coming on. And you never know, this could be a new kind of part of my channel, having guests on, and we'll see what happens.
Is that your first? Am I your first guest?
First guest doing sharing their top 10 and favorite albums. So
that's everything. Okay.
Yeah. So yes. So thank you very much. No problem. And thank you to all of my listeners who have tuned in. And if you tuned in for this length of time, why, thank you ever so much. And if you come across this channel and you've not yet subscribed, please do so. It'll help the channel find the correct audience and all that good stuff. So thank you very much.
Please do subscribe to Steve. He does a great job over there in you're in Somerset, is it, Stephen?
I'm in Glastonbury town in Somerset. So
Somerset, but you're from where I'm from.
I'm from Waterford, and we used to live in the same block of flats many years ago in the 90s. So that's
next door for many years. I did indeed, Stephen.
Yeah, and we leave a link to Pat's channel in the description in the description box. No problem. So thank you.
Thanks for that, Stephen.
No problem. Thank you, Pat. Thank you.
Bye-bye.